Frayling Leather is one of Europe's leading specialist furniture manufacturers, and even during what history will record as a serious recession, Frayling's sales figures continued their healthy climb through several years of record sales. How did they succeed in this remarkable achievement? Let's ask the man who's been at the sharp end all that time.
Hello, my name is Adrian Kelly. I'm the Sales and Marketing Director of Frayling Furniture, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to our leather training seminar. I personally place a great deal of importance on training and product knowledge, and this presentation is designed to help you gain an insight into where leather comes from, how our furniture is made, and some tips on how to sell leather. No matter how long you've been selling other furniture, I'd like to take this opportunity to share with you the secrets of Frayling's ongoing sales success. After the presentation, you will be asked to complete a short questionnaire, which I hope will result in each one of you being awarded our Certificate of Attainment. This qualifies you to sell both Frayling and Chapel leather furniture and give advice on leather care. I shall then also be delighted to welcome you to the elite ranks of those who have learnt a very valuable lesson, that one leather sale can be equal to 2 or even 3 fabric sales. And that's not the only piece of good news I have for you today. The market for leather upholstery in the UK has grown rapidly in the past 5 years, and now accounts for around 17% of the total UK upholstery market of more than £2 billion at retail prices. Well, now is the time to jump on this very valuable bandwagon, because some retail analysts predict that the leather market will have grown even faster than the general upholstery market to reach sales of around 600 million by the year 2001. Big business indeed, but even that is quite small compared to the market share in Europe of some 40 to 50%. Ask yourself, are you getting your share of the potential £350 million worth of retail sales in leather? If not, then here's how to make sure you do. Listen carefully and enjoy learning about the secrets of leather.
Leather is one of the oldest natural materials known to mankind, and one that was recognized by Stone Age man as providing lasting protection. Nowadays, leather is still as sought after and desirable and provides us with a very durable and fashionable product. But how does this get to become this? The information in this presentation is divided into 3 parts. First, leather production and leather care. Second, leather upholstery production. And third, tips on how to sell leather. The first 2 parts are essential to the success of the third, because like all great salespeople, you have to know the answers to all your customers' questions before they make their buying decision. Let's begin by taking a look at the most essential ingredient of leather furniture, which is, of course, leather. And sensitive though many people may be about cruelty to animals, it's comforting to know that almost all of the leather used in upholstery comes from domestic cattle, that is, beef and dairy herds. This makes it simply a very useful and valuable byproduct of the food chain. No animal is ever bred purely for its hide, because it would simply not make economic sense. Because of this, the tannery has no control over the supply and has to compete on the open market to achieve the best price. Prices can and do fluctuate quite widely because of worldwide demand. Owing to the size and strength of the European leather furniture industry, the best upholstery leather tanning factories are situated in Italy, Germany, Scandinavia, and the UK. Indeed, only European tanneries can supply the full range of upholstery leather. Most tanneries are situated near rivers or canals because of their heavy reliance on water during the production processes. When removed from the animal, the hide, known as rawhide, which can be over a centimetre thick, must be preserved to prevent further decay. This is achieved by either immersing the hides in a salt solution or by sprinkling them with salt. The next process involves soaking the hides in a lime solution to remove the hair. This can take up to 2 days, and the hide also swells up during this stage, to make it more supple and suitable for upholstery purposes. The hides are then processed through a fleshing machine which removes any flesh residues and trims them to size. The offcuts and residues are then sold on to produce gelatine. At this stage, the hide is cut horizontally to produce two pieces of leather. This process is called splitting and produces, firstly, the top coat, the hair coat, which is the most valuable and which is generally used for upholstery, as it has both good grain characteristics and flexing properties. Typically, this is around 1 mm thick. Secondly, you have the internal coat or split. The feel of this leather is somewhat different, being slightly harsher and tougher. This internal coat can be used for outside backs and sides for upholstery, but is not suitable for use on any flexing surfaces such as seat or back cushions. Typically, this is around 1.2 mm thick. The hides are then usually tanned for around 24 hours in a chromium sulfate solution, which turns the hide to a pale blue color. At this stage, the hide is known as wet blue and is now fully protected and can be described for the first time as leather. After tanning, a selection process is carried out which sorts the hides into various qualities and sizes. The best hides are finished as full-grain aniline with little or no surface finish, whilst the lower grades are finished with an embossed texture and pigment surface. Now comes the process which brings out the true beauty of the hides, the dyeing. During this stage, the hides are immersed in a dye solution with oil emulsions and fats added to lubricate the fiber structure and ensure that the leather stays soft and supple to the touch. After dyeing, the hides are stretched and toggle dried on purpose-made frames, and because this tends to harden the leather, they are then tumbled in a large drum to regain their softness. It is at this stage that a number of finishes are used to create the various categories of leather. Of the Category A leathers, the most expensive type, made from the most carefully selected hides, is pure aniline and sauvage leather. The surface remains natural with no artificial finish. It is the softest and most pure-looking leather, with all the variations in shade and natural markings showing clearly. Because it does not have any surface finish, it has a low resistance to light and is more susceptible to staining. Another example of a Category A leather is nubuck. After tanning and dyeing, the surface of this leather is buffed to produce a soft velvety surface. This can either be left natural or a variety of embossed finishes can be applied to produce special effects. In its most natural state, nubuck leather is quite prone to soiling and staining and needs to be maintained and protected with specialist products. Yet another example in Category A is semi-aniline leather, which is similar to aniline but with the added advantage of a light surface finish, which makes it more resistant to staining. However, the most natural marks and shade variations are still visible. Standard soft leather, also known as corrected grain leather, is in Category P and is produced by a process which enables the tannery to make the most economical use of the hide. After tanning, the surface is buffed to remove most of the natural imperfections, and a pigmented color is then applied by hand or mechanical spray to cover any remaining imperfections such as the hair follicles which exist in every skin. A grain is then embossed onto the hide either by rolling or pressing, and a protective coating is applied finally to seal the surface. This gives good wear characteristics and high resistance to light, which makes standard soft leather the most durable and particularly easy to care for. Split soft leather in the Category SP is basically produced in exactly the same way as standard soft leather, but is from the internal coat. Therefore, it does not have very good flexing properties and is harsher to the touch, which makes this category only suitable for outside sides and backs where no flexing will occur. Antique leather in Category P is sometimes referred to as rub-off finish and has similar characteristics to standard soft leather, except that a two-part surface pigment is applied, a light base coat and a dark top coat. After the furniture has been upholstered, part of the top coat is removed by hand using a solvent to expose the contrast color underneath. This creates an accelerated aged appearance, with the top coat designed to wear away during use to give the attractive antique effect. This process will continue naturally with use, and the shading will vary and increase with time. This category of leather is only really suitable for models featuring deep buttoning. Finally, to ensure that quality and performance standards are maintained, a variety of laboratory checks are then carried out, and the surface area of the leather is measured, with the average size of each finished hide being around 45 to 50 square feet. So, to sum up, the two most widely used types of leather in the upholstery industry are aniline and corrected grain or pigmented.
Now, let's take a look at the various types of leather in cross-section to help you learn how to identify them.
Here, pure aniline has an untreated surface, with the hair follicles and natural surface indentations still in their untreated state. Semi-aniline leather has been partially treated to protect the surface and even out the natural imperfections. Standard soft leather or soft antique leather, on the other hand, has been buffed and treated with coloured pigment to even out the surface to a smooth, hard-wearing finish. So, now you know how leather is produced and what types of leather are most used in upholstery, it's time to look very closely at an aspect of natural leather which could be regarded at first sight as a disadvantage, but which can be turned by a knowledgeable salesperson into a real selling benefit. What are we talking about? Well, can you imagine an animal living several years, mainly in the fields, without rubbing up against a piece of wire or otherwise causing scars on its skin? Of course not. But instead of apologizing for them, boast about them. They are the hallmarks of real leather, the signs by which Mother Nature authenticates her own handiwork. It's important to remember that none of these scars are detrimental to the wearing properties of the leather. Here are some examples of marks and variations on finished leather. First, a healed scar. Next, a growth mark. And lastly, these are marks you find mainly on hides from Australia and America, where they still use firebrands to mark their herds. Obviously, when using large cut panels in the production of furniture, some scars and marks will inevitably be included, but generally, variations in grain such as belly and neck hide would not be used in seating areas. The leather cutter uses his skill and judgment to avoid placing marks in the more obvious and noticeable areas. But it is these markings that differentiate real leather furniture from imitation, making each piece totally unique. Which is why it is important to bring this subject up during your sales presentation. By its nature, leather requires very little care, particularly standard soft leather. However, during its life, leather will naturally reflect the owner's lifestyle. It will crease and stretch in areas and develop a character all of its own. This is all part of the natural characteristics of leather furniture. Let's look now at just how easy it is to care for leather, which is a very strong selling point. Standard soft leather is particularly durable, but if it is not cared for properly, lighter colored leathers can be permanently stained by continuous contact with non-color-fast clothing such as denim. In fairness to the leather, this is entirely the fault of the non-color-fast cloth and cannot be considered as a performance defect of the furniture. As part of our ongoing service to our customers, we provide a sample care system with our compliments with every order. This consists of a matching sample of leather, a gentle leather cleaner, leather protection cream, ink remover, cosmetic matching color sample, applicator cloth, and a care system instruction leaflet. All the products are simple to use and full-size replacement supplies are readily available from our sales office. Cosmetic color provides an effective repair for minor scuffs and scratches. Gentle leather cleaner may be used for regular maintenance and to clean old and new soiled leather quickly and thoroughly. Intensive leather cleaner is designed to be used on ingrained or heavy soiling on both old and new leather. Leather protection cream restores and softens and creates a protective finish, whilst reinstating the unmistakable smell of fine quality leather. Ink remover is effective on ballpoint and other ink marks provided it is used soon after the marking occurs. To summarize, you should advise your customers always to follow these simple recommendations. Avoid placing leather furniture closer than 8 to 12 inches from a radiator or other heat source. Avoid exposure to direct sunlight. Vacuum regularly and wipe over with a soft cloth to prevent dusty and gritty particles damaging the surface. Wipe down regularly with a damp cloth and mild soap solution. Depending on use, but at least 3 times a year, clean and protect leather furniture using the approved products. Never use detergents, solvents, spray polish or abrasive cleaners on leather furniture, and always test any cleaning process on an unseen area to test for color fastness. Accidents are bound to happen, and minor scuffs and scratches can be effectively repaired by the application of the color-matched cosmetic cream included with the free sample care kit. Remember to use these products to your advantage. Don't be afraid to illustrate how easy it is to look after. After all, there is nothing like the power of an actual demonstration to aid your sale.
Right, now you're an expert on where leather comes from, how it is produced, the different types of leather, and how easy it is to care for leather. It's time to move on to part 2 of this presentation. We're going to visit the factory to see how leather is used to make the finished upholstery and create Frayling leather furniture.
Frayling Furniture, which is still a family-owned private company, was formed over 50 years ago and now employs some 600 people on 3 sites. The company's most recent acquisition is Chapel Fine Furniture, which produces a very high-quality range of more traditional suites and some very popular wood-framed models such as these. Frayling produce their own frames to exacting standards in their own wood mill, where wooden facings and feet are also produced. State-of-the-art routers and other sophisticated machinery is used to ensure high standards of accuracy are maintained throughout the process. In addition, all timber is planed on all 4 sides before use. The main timber component currently is birch, which is used for load-bearing rails, with high-grade plywood and particle board being used for side panel areas. Other timbers such as beech and carowin are also sometimes used. The Sherwood models from the Chapel range feature frames constructed from solid oak and beech. The frames are assembled using glued dowel joints, screws and staples, and the finished frame is a tribute to the craftsmanship found within the wood mill. Wooden feet and facings are produced from a variety of timber, including ash and beech, and are finished by hand and polished in a variety of colors. Meanwhile, in the leather cutting department, leather is being received direct from the tanner and palletized into die patches of about 250 hides per color. The leather is unpacked, and each hide is inspected to ensure it conforms to our purchase specification regarding color, size, wet rub standards and markings. Each hide, which as we already have mentioned is around 50 square feet, is carefully stored on purpose-built mobile frames known as horses. Because it's our policy to stock a wide range of colors, both at Chapel and Frayling, this results in a stock holding of some £2 million, which enables us to provide the best possible service to our customers. For each individual order, hides are specially selected, and it can take between 5 and 7 whole skins to produce an average 3-piece suite. The cutter inspects each hide and marks out areas which will not be used. His skill and judgment are then used to optimize the yield from each skin by placing patterns for the largest areas to be cut first from the best skins. The smaller parts are then fitted in like a jigsaw puzzle. A matching sample of leather is also cut at this stage to ensure a color match if the order is to be added to at a later stage. Despite Frayling's state-of-the-art equipment used in many of the production processes, all of the leather cutting is still carried out by hand, as no machine has yet been produced which can equal the cutter's skill and experience. Obviously, it's not possible to cut out all of the natural marks, but variations in grain, such as belly and neck hide, would not be used in seating areas, and the more noticeable marks would be confined, where possible, to outside backs or less noticeable areas. A random inspection takes place during the cutting process to ensure quality standards are maintained throughout. The waste produced from the cutting department can be as high as 25 to 30% of the total. Once cut, the panels of leather go on to the sewing department, where a large team of highly skilled sewers use the latest computerized sewing machines to sew together the cut panels, with each individual working on one complete order at a time. Such is their pride in their work that they sew their own personal label onto each piece to give the item that personal touch. To ensure that the leather is always soft and supple to the touch, Dacron fiber, cut by the latest computer-controlled automatic cutting machine, is sewn to the back of the leather panels. Again, during this stage of the production process, random inspections take place to ensure quality standards are maintained. After this, the parts, sewn together as we have just seen, are taken to the upholstery department, where skilled craftsmen create the final finished products, using pre-prepared frames and high-quality foams and fillings. Again in this department, each individual upholsterer works on one complete order, finally attaching his own identity label to demonstrate the high degree of pride taken in the job. In Frayling's constant pursuit of quality standards, yet more random inspections take place in this department. At the end of the manufacturing processes, every single piece of finished upholstery is inspected under powerful lighting by Frayling's highly trained team of inspectors, each relying on many years of experience. Following this stage, the leather care system sample kit is attached along with a second set of care instructions to ensure the end user has everything they need to look after their purchase. Before the furniture is transported to its destination, which may be anywhere in the UK or Europe, wrapping is carried out on a carpeted area by skilled packers, wearing special footwear to avoid any damage. Each piece is wrapped in heavy gauge polythene with cardboard protectors and bubble wrap to ensure the product arrives looking just as good as when it left the Frayling factory. Indeed, all around the Frayling factory you will see examples of this fine attention to detail, designed to prevent even the tiniest accidental scratches and unsightly marks. For example, the carpeting on which the furniture is packed is cleaned 3 times a day and replaced completely 3 times a year. Even when it comes to loading the delivery vehicle, blankets and decking are used to cushion any impact. And if all that seems to be overdoing it, just think of all the effort and expense that goes into making each piece of Frayling furniture before it gets here. Why risk all that work in the final stage? After all, each piece of Frayling furniture is made to order, and quite rightly, your customer expects it to arrive at his home in perfect condition. Would you want it any other way after you spent your valuable time clinching the sale? The Frayling philosophy is simple. Try to get it right. First time, every time. And strive to improve quality standards all of the time. And whatever job you do at Frayling, always remember, the customer is king.
So now, armed with your extensive knowledge of leather and how it is turned into fine leather upholstery, let's look at how you can get your share of the potential £350 million worth of retail sales in leather. Here are a few ways to help you sell leather effectively.
If possible and if space permits, try to arrange your display so that all your leather models are together in one area to create a leather gallery or studio. This creates the all-important impression that you are serious and knowledgeable about leather. Colour is an invaluable visual sales aid, and the use of a wall of colour display against a plain black background can create a stunning effect. Simple things like training spotlights on the furniture and keeping your showroom warm ensure that leather is always warm to the touch. Don't forget that leather takes on the temperature of the air around it, and the initial touch and feel is vitally important. Use the retail video presentation to entice potential customers to find out more about leather furniture. Remember, they may never even have thought about purchasing leather before, but that one sale could be worth double an average fabric sale. Avoid opening phrases like, "Can I help you?" as inevitably the reply will be, "No thanks, we're just looking." Instead, try to get your potential customers to talk to you by asking them questions like, "Doesn't that leather feel soft to the touch?" "Have you ever had leather furniture before?" "Isn't that sofa comfortable?" Or, "We've got a fantastic range of colours available in that style." Once the conversation has been opened, establish your customer's lifestyle as soon as possible. Decide which of the Frayling products best answers their requirements and tailor your presentation around it. Explain the hard-wearing advantages of corrected grain leather, particularly if there are children in the family. Tell them some of the points we covered earlier in this presentation. For instance, how, with time, leather will reflect your customer's lifestyle with a gradual shading, creasing and stretching to enhance leather's natural beauty. Boast about nature's unique hallmarks and reassure them that they're like knots in wood and are in no way detrimental to the wearing properties of leather. On the contrary, it is these that differentiate real leather from its cheaper imitations. If they should select a lighter shade of leather, then point out that it will require more care than a darker shade, just as lighter colored clothing or towels needs cleaning more often. Also explain that dye from denim and other non-color fast clothing can be transferred and produce a permanent stain. However, they can help prevent this by cleaning more frequently with the recommended Frayling products. When your customers ask the leading question, "Is it really worth me spending all this extra money buying leather furniture?" you can honestly answer, yes. Being a totally natural material, leather has many advantages over synthetic products and imitations, as well as over fabric. Leather is one of the oldest protective materials known to man. Leather is synonymous with quality and the finer things in life. Leather is prestigious and aspirational, and yet provides excellent value for money. Each piece of leather is unique. No two hides are identical. Of all materials, only leather can back up its claim to improve with time, developing a character all of its own over the years. The smooth surface of leather does not allow dust to penetrate, which helps reduce any dust allergy problems to a minimum. Leather breathes, and unlike fabric, does not absorb smoke or other smells. In fact, no other material can provide the same degree of durability, practicality, and long-term value for money, not to mention the unequaled customer satisfaction and pleasure in owning one of the most fashionable and prestigious products available. When you have concluded your sale and a copy of the signed order is given to the customer, we recommend that you also give them a copy of the care system leaflet to take away and read before delivery of their order. This will reinforce your advice and ensure that they're fully aware of how to care for their beautiful new Frayling leather furniture.
Thank you for your attention. I hope the background information and selling hints you've learnt from this presentation will help you make many more future sales. Don't forget, we're all part of one big sales team with the same desire to earn some of the massive potential rewards from this rapidly growing market. And with such a fantastic selling story, we can all really enjoy ourselves along the way. We manufacture a first-class product, but we can't succeed on our own. We rely on you. Your success is our success, and we're with you every step of the way. Good luck and good selling from all of us at Frayling Furniture.